Welcome along to From the Resort podcast. This is episode number 7 in the new series. Today is the 9th of December 2020. Last week we had Jason Climo, who is the president-elect of the Queenstown Rotary Club. This week we've actually got the current sitting president herself, Leanne Lyons. Welcome along to the podcast, Leanne.
Thank you, Tim.
So yeah, as sort of custom, the way we sort of start these podcasts off, Leanne, is we'd like to sort of, find out a bit of background about where you sort of came from. So whereabouts were you born and where did you sort of live early in life?
Well, I was born in Invercargill, and when I was about 5-6 years old, we moved to Manapuri, where we lived in the hydro village there while my dad and hundreds of other families lived. The jobs on at the time, because my dad was in construction, the jobs at the time was the Manapuri Dam construction and the West Arm project as well. So it was a great life as a kid growing up in a village that popped up, if you like, in between Manapuri and Te Anau in the 60s. It was great fun.
Okay, and it was a big family, many brothers or sisters?
I've got one little brother, so he lives up in Auckland and he's got 2 children, and I've just become a great aunt, I guess it is. She's just had a baby, so that's really exciting.
Well, that's congratulations to the family and yourself on that. I guess, can you remember growing up what sort of hobbies you had and what sort of things you like to get up to as a youngster?
Well, I think it was different times back then. We used to be able to play outside until dark and things like that, but times have changed, it seems. And but yeah, more carefree lifestyle, excuse me, back then. So it was a great life. We moved around quite a bit. We after the Manapuri job, we actually went to Fiji for a year with Dad's job. So that was interesting, and went to school over there. I was just one of 7 children in the school that was European, and the other 6 children were the principal's children themselves. So really exciting, and that was quite a good growing up curve, if you like. And then after Fiji, we settled in Auckland for quite a few years. Yeah.
Okay, so then to Auckland after Fiji. Okay, interesting.
So after sort of while I was at school, I just played a lot of sports and things like that, and hung out with friends. But
so what were some of the sports that you played?
Hockey. So I was keen on hockey. Played a lot of hockey, a little bit of netball, and some touch as well.
So okay, so a few different sports then. And what sport did you sort of, I guess, like the most out of all of those?
Playing hockey, yeah,
Yep.
That was my
Yep.
thing. I played it for quite a few years. I was also in a swimming club as well, so I did a lot of swimming as well, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And can you remember growing up what your first part-time job was that you had sort of in your teen years?
Well, when I left school, my first job, I didn't really have too many jobs during school, but when I left school, I started off as a junior, office junior at an accountant's firm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was okay, but I broke my ankle getting off the bus going home from school, getting off the bus going home from work one night. So I decided that was a good time to head back to the South Island while I was in my plaster and visit Nana and Papa and all my cousins in Invercargill. So I shot down there and I didn't go back. That's when I met my husband, and we settled down and had the family.
And that was in Invercargill?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was Invercargill sort of like back in those days, and has it changed much over the years, do you think?
Yes and no. Invercargill, it's making some changes now, I guess, with the rebuild of the town centre, but I don't think it's really changed that much over the years. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I've only been down there once, and yeah, it looked like it'd been, it sort of established itself, a lot more in the sort of 70s, 80s, and that sort of time frame. So it's quite interesting. I hope they sort of obviously continue to obviously update things there as well. So that's some of your early sort of jobs and stuff. What I guess what was the first job that you sort of had that stuck out to you as being something you enjoyed doing and were quite happy in? Growing up.
So once the kids had grown up, my youngest was about 6, and I decided that I would go into real estate. So that's what I did most recently until the last few years when we moved to Queenstown. So I did that for 12 years up in Auckland. Really enjoyed that, and watched the industry change and develop quite a bit over those few years. So it was really interesting, really great. I've made some lifelong friends out of it, and it was a job I really enjoyed.
So actually selling real estate sort of up in the Auckland area, is that so? And any particular area of Auckland, or was it sort of all over, or
No, out east. So it was pretty much where we lived. So we were in the Botany area, Howick. My office was in Howick. Yeah. So, and that's probably where I've spent most of my adult years, was in that area as well, and the kids have all grown up and gone to schools there. Yeah. And it was at that time, about 8 years ago, that I decided I wanted to do a little bit more in the community. So it was actually great timing. I went out to the letterbox one day and here was a flyer looking for Rotarians, and I thought, I might give that guy a phone call. So I rang him up and went along to a meeting, and I wasn't too sure at the start if that was me, but persevered and became a member, and then I started to really enjoy it, and I got involved in a lot of youth programs and things that Rotary does, and that's what kept me engaged in the club. And then we moved to Queenstown and straight away just joined Rotary here in Queenstown.
Yeah, so what was the name of the Rotary Club up in East Auckland?
It was the Botany East Tamaki Rotary Club.
And how many sort of members did they have?
Started off, it was quite good when I first joined, but it slowly they started to lose a lot of membership quite quickly too. So when I left, there was only about 8 left in the club after having quite a good membership number. One of the older clubs in Auckland too, so it was a real shame. I think that they're looking to merge with another club called Ormiston Rotary Club at the moment. So hopefully that will get them reinvigorated again and get those members somewhere to go. Yeah, but it seems to be a thing with some Rotary clubs, and then you've got other Rotary clubs who are thriving and doing really well. So I think it does depend on the mood of the club and who is at the leadership.
Yeah, I mean, club memberships for service organisations, it certainly depends on a lot of things, and it depends on... We've seen in Australia, for example, that a lot of the big cities just don't have large membered clubs. There's just a lot of competing interests. There's a lot of, I guess when you've got children involved, it's a bit different to how it was in the 80s. Like if you were in the 80s, it was quite common to be able to get out there and do stuff with the family. So, but that seems to have changed more so the last 10, 20 years.
Yeah, I agree with that, Tim, and I think there is a lot of competing interests, like you said, with other groups and other things to do for young people particularly. So sometimes they don't want to devote so much time and effort to one thing, and often they have got other things that they're involved in. And when they have got families, there's a lot of sporting events that you have to run around to with the kids and all sorts of other things. So life is generally a lot busier now, and I think that times have changed. However, I feel it's important Rotary is recognising that now, and particularly I feel quite encouraged with our Southern District here. Our district is 9980, soon to merge with the other South Island district to become District 9999, which is interesting. But yeah, I feel like our southern clubs particularly, there's been some good leadership recently where they are involving families a lot more, and there are a lot of younger members starting to join and get involved. And I think that that's the secret to some success that we need to keep really promoting and pushing, you know.
So obviously leaving a club which was reasonably small, I guess at that particular club, what was the highest role that you sort of got to there? Did you become the president of that club at all as well, or were you...
No, I was just youth director.
Youth director,
yeah.
Okay. So, and then what sort of prompted it's always a fairly big move when you move anywhere, but moving from Auckland back, down to Queenstown, obviously only 2 hours away from Invercargill, where I guess a lot of your family probably still are.
Yes, they are. So pretty much Queenstown was a place where I spent a lot of my childhood. We used to come here for holidays and things like that. So it's always been a place that's always interested me to perhaps live one day. And Hamish, my partner, He was here in the 80s and he worked at iCarts and worked for a plumber, and he's had some time here as well, and it was both a place for both of us that we both wanted to come in and live, I guess. So we made a plan 10 years ago, and we fulfilled that plan within 9.5 years later. We're here, so it was a really good thing to just be able to focus on that and make that plan and get here.
That's fairly long distance planning if it's been a decade in the works. I mean, Fiona and myself, it was 4 to 5 years of planning. It really only started after we first came to Queenstown that we would sort of come, that 2020 would be the year. So tell us about obviously the particular area. What about Queenstown? It's obviously beautiful, but what other factors do you really like about living around this area?
It is mainly just the smallness of it, but you've still got an international feel, and it feels bigger than what it is. I just like the vibrancy and the diversity of the people that live here. Probably more so before COVID, but there is still that element here, and you can certainly feel it when you walk around the town. I just like to, if you do get stuck in our little traffic jams that we do occasionally have, at least you've got something beautiful to look at, and it's not like you're stuck on a 4-lane motorway looking at the car in front and beside and behind you and nothing else kind of thing. So, no, it's good. It's just a nice, chilled place to live, and like I said, it's just somewhere where we've always wanted to come back to, both of us, and probably enjoying the fact that with the growth that we're getting, particularly out at 5 Mile, that we have got access to services and retail and things like that, which is becoming better. So that makes it a little bit more attractive and appealing as well to live here.
So joining the Queenstown Rotary Club, you hadn't sort of, how many years ago did you join the club? How many?
So I've been here in Queenstown 4 years, just over. So yeah, about 4 years as a member there, and was on the youth committee there as well. That's pretty much just where I wanted to be, and that was my happy place. And then I got asked by the outgoing president, who I took over from, Ross Beale, to if I would like to be president, and I said no, 4 times actually, every time he asked. Until finally I just gave up and I said, okay, I'll do it. So that was how it started, really.
So obviously for someone like Ross, to be able to approach you and sort of be on to you to want to be the president of the club, he must have seen something in what, you as a person, you as even a leader, in order to be able to keep pestering you to do that, or would you think that, that's the way it sort of looks. So, obviously it's a fairly big job, and I've been obviously only been here for a few months, but I've seen that how well you lead the club, and you seem to have a very good following as far as the support from the membership, which is really, really good. But I think the club is of the makeup now where I think they would support, as long as the person's there to do, to look after the best interests of the club, though. It's the maturity and the experience that a lot of these guys and girls have got dictates that they're going to respect obviously whoever's in the chair. Obviously there's obviously someone indifferent every year, and obviously with another president and another president after that, there's always going to be someone new, you would think, with a club the size of Queenstown. So. It seems like it's a fairly decent sized club from what I'm used to, but it's a really good club, and they a lot of the members turn up to pretty much everything.
So I've been really lucky, and they have embraced everything that I've put to them. So I did want to make a few changes. I've seen a couple of areas where I felt we could do a little bit better, and particularly with the attraction of the new younger members. It seems to be that Rotary appears to be an ageing organisation, so to make sure that the security and the future of the club was preserved, we needed to make some changes. So I gathered some people around me and formed a board of directors, told them a few of my ideas and what I wanted to do, and they were great. They supported me and helped me fulfil all that at the start, and have really embraced it all. So the support has been really, really good. A couple of things that I have done, I guess, to attract the new members is just the communication, making the club meetings more interesting. So once a month we are now off-site, and it was really important post-COVID to go out and support locals. So what better way to do it as a new president than to do one off-site meeting a month and go and visit some of these local businesses and support them. With 50 members, it was a good opportunity for them to have a good night of, good turnover, if you like, make some money, because it's 50 members all having meals, all having a drink or two. So that was a really good thing just to stimulate their business. So that was a really good thing to do, and COVID played a big part in that. But it's continued, and we, through the winter, we did all that, and we tended to go indoors a lot just because of the weather. But now with the summer meetings coming up in the new year, the idea is that we're going to get out and do some lakefront rubbish cleanups, and have a barbecue afterwards and just have some good family time. The kids can come along and things like that. So the idea is to make it more inclusive for younger people and their families, the way it used to be, but make it fun as well while we're doing it.
Yeah, no, it's some really good things that the club is doing, and it's certainly, you look forward to catching up with everybody on a weekly basis. With it, obviously coming across here. A bit of, I guess, obviously what you sort of, you obviously said you're selling real estate in Auckland, and obviously that was something that you did for most of 10 years or something like that. And when you came here, as far as work was concerned, you've got an Airbnb, which is, what do you think of the Airbnb industry in Queenstown, and and what sort of made you decide to go into that sort of area?
So before we moved here, we actually bought a section above the lake off Frankton Road, and we sat on it and just designed a home. And we thought that we would tap into the tourism market. Obviously that was very strong in Queenstown. We are probably one of the well-known names of resorts in the world, so why not try and tap into some of that? So we decided to design a home with an income, and we were going to Airbnb it, which is what we've done. So post or pre-COVID, we were very busy. Most of our guests were American and Australian, some English and Chinese and all that as well, but not very many Chinese. Don't know why. But so we enjoyed that and met some really cool people and really lovely people. And then COVID hit, and we went into lockdown, of course, and that was a very troubling time, and we just didn't know what was going to happen with our business. So we thought maybe we might have to do things a bit differently. As it's turned out, we're probably busier than what we were pre-COVID. They're all Kiwis, of course, and Kiwis do tend to not want to pay international rates, so we dropped our rates. We met the market. We tried to make it so that Kiwis can have an affordable holiday in Queenstown, when sometimes, perhaps before COVID, it was out of their reach, and they've got somewhere nice to stay. So our place has got a great view, looking out towards...
I must attest to that. I have been there, so it's a beautiful view.
We overlook the lake and look out towards the Remarkables, and there's a spa pool there that you can soak your bones in and enjoy the view. So it is proving to be quite a popular little place, but I have heard that there are some Airbnbs struggling a little bit, which is unfortunate. I don't really know why, but I'm pleased to say that we're doing okay, and we are actually busier than what we were before.
Is there any sort of key to being able to stay busy and obviously that sort of change that's, as you said, you've changed your clientele a bit from the internationals to now pretty much New Zealand, but still also having a pretty high sort of occupancy rate. Obviously something that's worked out quite well for you. Any secret to that, or what do you think is you've been successful at? Anything that you can attest that to? Just
I'm
maybe
not,
feedback from other.
I think it's probably just the views
Yeah.
that we've got in the spa. The spa is a point of difference. There's not too
Okay.
many places where you can stay in the same area within a kilometre radius also of our place with a spa. So I think that's definitely an attraction.
Mm.
So having that point of difference, and it's like anything with sales, isn't it, and marketing, you got to find your niche and your point of difference. So I think we've done that quite well. But also definitely meeting the market and meeting it early, not hoping to get the same prices. But I just dropped my prices down by at least 75% in the first weeks after lockdown, when we came out of lockdown,
It's a big
just to
reduction,
stimulate the bookings, and it worked.
Mm.
And I've slowly increased it to a place where I know Kiwis are quite happy to pay at that level. So, yeah, it's just probably that, I would think.
No, that's very. It's obviously meeting the market. You obviously, that's excellent. That's you obviously adapted and obviously keeping busy and obviously keeping the place down. The Airbnb, keeping that ticking over. So Rotary. No, I think going forward, I mean, I see good things in the club. We've got a very good strong membership. I think, as you said, it's very important to have a good mix now of age within the club, and it sort of reminds me a little bit of a Rotary club that was involved in a bit back in Brisbane. There's this club called the Brisbane Airport Club, and they were only a new club that had only started 10 years ago, and I knew some of the founding members. One was a guy who worked next door as a financial planner, and he would recruit a few people that were just wanting to network and wanting to turn it into business, people in business wanting to network and help the community and all that sort of stuff. And then all of a sudden you're getting all these younger people mixed with the older people, and it's working quite well. And I remember one of the presidents there, I read, he's only 20, 21, 22. He's very young. He sort of got recruited out of high school, basically. This kid, he's a smart kid, and a bit of an aviation bent to the club as well because it's near the airport. But so it's quite. You see those sort of situations, you can understand why it works. You can understand, and you can relate that back to this club. You're getting some younger people coming through. Different ages, in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and so a nice sort of mix of people. I mean, I guess as far as what the club, what are we going to see in the next 6 months, the last 6 months of your presidency? Anything that you think will stick out as something the club will be doing as far as projects are concerned, service events or anything of that nature? What do you see?
Well, obviously I'll continue the membership growth promotion of that. In the first 6 months we've got 6 new members, so that's really exciting, and there are a number that are waiting in the new year to probably join as well, and that's great, and they're all young professional people, so really exciting, and just brings a different vibe to the club when you get those kind of people involved, and they're really enthusiastic to get involved in those projects and in the community to do things. So that's going to be obviously the next point of focus for me, is to get those new members on board as well. We've done a really great project last year in October over at Lakeland Park, where we developed a boulder wall for the kids at the park, at the camp, sorry. So that was really exciting, and the camp are thrilled with what we did. If anyone wants to pop over and have a look at that, it's a really great thing that we did. Other projects coming up in the new year, we're building a shed for Happiness House, a storage shed for them. They've expanded their staff, so they're looking to use some of the bedrooms in the house that they've got as office space, and they need to clear out some of these things. So that's really cool. We're going to get involved in that in January. Also in February, we've got a fundraising opportunity, thanks to Fiona, where we are involved with the new Bunnings store that's about to open here in Queenstown in March, and we will be doing all the sausage sizzles and some entertainment things there. So that's really cool, and that will be a great fundraiser for the club too. So that money will go back into the local community to do things. We've also got, we're just waiting on some consents and approvals from council to do a shelter down at Tucker Beach Trail, which was one of our major projects that we did a few years ago, where we developed the Tucker Beach Trail from the eastern end, which is the shot over bridge end. And we did that for a few, I think it was about a kilometre or 1.5 kilometres. So that was a really good project that we did, over $100,000, and it's enjoyed by locals and visitors alike with the bikes and walks. So that's really cool. So we're going to put a shelter down there in case there are new mums with babes or prams or people who just need to get some respite from the sun or the rain. We're going to put a shelter out there and put a little bit of information about the local area, but also about Rotary as well. So that'll be really cool. So that's what we've got coming up. The other things will probably come up as time goes on too.
Yeah. Just a couple of other things before I forget. I guess being the president of the club, what I can say about is that the effort that you put in, and you can see the effort that you put in is substantial. I mean, I've seen a lot of different presidents of service organisations and clubs, and the amount of effort that you put into it, it tells me that there's a lot of passion and a lot of love for the club generally, and obviously when you sort of become president in a fairly I guess a important role, is you make of it what you will for anything, but in some instances obviously you put a lot of effort in to get the best results. I guess you've had to obviously change the way you sort of work because of being the president of Rotary, haven't you? And how many hours per week do you reckon you'd be putting in as the president, doing organising and overseeing and all of that sort of stuff?
Too much, and it's uncountable really. If you ask Hamish, he'll just roll his eyes. But there's a fair bit involved, but that's only because, like you say, I'm passionate. But I've got lots of ideas and things that come through. So I try to delegate as much as I can and get everybody in behind me, and that's all just time consuming and part of it, I guess. But it is really exciting because everybody, like I said, has really got in behind me and supported me. So I just say, this is what I think, or this is what we should do, or what do you think about this? And straight away they're all yes. And so that creates the work, I guess. But it's good fun. And that was the other thing that was really important to me, was we needed change and we needed growth, but we also need to have fun. And so hopefully everyone's having a bit of fun. I know I am, but it is really important, because if you're not having fun and you're not enjoying what you do, particularly something like this where it's all voluntarily, you're doing it as a volunteer, you're not getting paid for it. If you're not enjoying it, then that's when you start questioning why you're doing it. And that's the one thing I need to avoid with the membership. So
the important thing is with a lot of these cases, you get more out of it than what you put into it. That's obviously part of the motivation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing I want to sort of commend you on is that it's something obviously the club does well. They obviously have a speaker at every meeting, and I guess I'm fairly impressed with your public speaking skills generally. I mean, I think you got up there at the Christmas party on Sunday, and you had a really, really good speech. Wrote quite a lot of stuff, got a lot of stuff out there, and to me that's just impressive. That I'm not sure, is that a skill you've always had, public speaking, or is that something you just developed in your time at Rotary?
Yeah, so no, I used to shake, and I used to try and avoid anything when I first joined Rotary. So if I had because we often ask members to get up and introduce a speaker or thank a speaker or get up and say a 3-minute talk or something like that. And I used to try and avoid that, so I'd not turn up. Or if I did end up doing it, I would be shaking like a leaf, and I'd just kind of go blank half the time. So it was definitely something that I've had to practice, and practice, as much as I can, so that I can at least get over that hurdle of not looking like I'm scared. And it just does get easier, but I think once you are comfortable with what you're doing, and I think there's an advantage to being the president because you know what's going on, so you're educated and you know what you need to say and what's happening in the club. But sometimes it's, if you don't really have confidence in what you're talking about, that can actually be harder, to pull off, I guess. Yeah.
Sometimes it also, it's what you learn from your predecessors and some of the other key figures within a club itself. So if you've got other members that are good public speakers, that do tell a good story, that do like to talk about it, that can motivate some people to want to be at that level and to be
absolutely,
and to sort of say, well, I also want to make sure that people think that that I can sort of hold my own as well when it comes to public speaking. So I think that's got a lot to do with it. Certainly motivated me in my younger days when it comes to public speaking. I've been in public speaking competitions with Apex, and it's not to say if they had those sort of competitions in Rotary, I'm sure you do quite well as well.
We do them for the kids, but not so much for us. But I mean, Toastmasters are a part of Rotary. We're affiliated with Toastmasters, so that's another good pathway for people if they wanted to join Rotary or even join Toastmasters. You can come together with the other side and have that practice and that extra avenue, if you like. But that's the one thing about Rotary, is if you are looking for opportunities to develop personally, and it can be with anything, Rotary is the place to come to, because there are so many other things within, not just clubs, but within the district and even within the country and internationally. There are jobs and things that you can do and take up that will give you that confidence and give you that leadership ability to develop. So if anyone is interested in that kind of thing, that personal growth and development, Rotary is definitely a very good place to start.
Yeah, excellent. I think we might, you said you didn't want to sort of go for too long, but we've already hit half an hour. So I think what we will do is we'll wrap things up very, very shortly, and also leaves the door open for maybe in 6 months' time after your presidency is done, or maybe a follow-up podcast to see how it's all finished out and what else has sort of happened. So thank you very much for your time, Leanne. Any sort of final words? And also note you have to sort of leave because you're still working for the Rotary Club, obviously meeting potential new members and taking them out for lunch.
Well, I am actually after this, so I'm meeting a new member for lunch. She's a local optometrist and a lovely young girl, and new to town as well. And that's one thing I'd like to also add. If you are new to town, and Queenstown is a little bit hard to make friends, I think. It seems to be a general thing whenever I talk to people. But a good way to make new friends is to join a club, and obviously Rotary would be a good place to start as well. And that's where I'm trying to get all the young professionals and people who are great communicators and networkers to join as well. So come along if anyone's interested, to come along and see what we're all about. No commitment. We'd love to see you and welcome you at any time.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Leanne. That was fantastic. Thank you, and have a great time.